Hey, I'm Pete the Plumber. Plumbing is what I'm all about. From emergencies to catastrophes, from brand new shiny renovations, let me and my team show you how to get it done and done right. Calgary, we've got you covered. Rob. I'm the only guy that calls him Robbie, from Elite Roofing. Robbie called me up and says, Pete, I've got an issue. I've got this senior in an old house that her roof is basically not there. I go, what? And obviously he does the shingling, but he needed the vent brought up for the stack, extended up, and he needed some work done on the chimney. So I said, we're in, Rob, we're in. He says, I'm just doing this out of the goodness of our hearts. This lady's needs a little bit of love. And I said, Robbie, I'm there. Yeah, Rob, I know you're one of these guys. Call me, I'm there.
Well, DELICE got the phone call from Norma, and she had indicated that she had some leaking in her house, and she wasn't really sure if she was going to be able to afford to fix it, but she was hoping that somebody would come out and have a look. In turn, DELICE sent me out, and she said, you have to go out and see what we need to do to help. And I came out. I saw an absolute catastrophe up on her roof, and it's failing everywhere. The neighbors around here, she's been here since 1985, and the neighbors just tried to help her. They tarped it, they did the best they could. The tarps disintegrated, the trees were overgrown. I mean, it was pretty much a jungle all back in here. And then I left really sad. I was really brokenhearted because the guys that had done the roof back in the 90s had gone over the old cedar shakes, which means they didn't check if it was a plank deck. There was holes everywhere. She could literally watch the rain on the inside of her house. So I made a couple of phone calls to some great guys, Dick's Lumbers, Beacon Roofing, Beacon Building Products, IKO stepped up, Ballpark Diamonds Landscaping stepped up. Our own boys refused to get paid. They said, no, we're coming to work on the weekend and we're gonna get this done for. That's how it started.
Let's find out what Robbie, the roofer from Elite wants. Rob, how you doing, big guy? Good to see you. Good to see you too. Well, we picked a beauty day.
We did.
You no work today, no rain, no leaks today.
Exactly. Not today, but there's been too many.
There's been a lot. So what are we up against? You said this was a bit of a special one.
So we've got a gal, 77 years old. She's living in a property that's early 1900s. Mm-hmm. It's an old plank deck. Unfortunately, the guys that did the roof in the 90s, they went right over the cedar shakes, left the planks, didn't resheet.
Right over the cedar shake. Ooh.
Yeah.
Even a plumber knows that's wrong.
Yeah. So we ran into some old plumbing that we're just not sure how we're going to deal with it. I think it's old cast iron, and when my guys break stuff, or if they crack it, or something happens, we're going to call you, and then you're going to have to fix it anyway. So I'd rather you just come out and do it properly the first time.
Now, you said there was a bit of a special circumstance with this one.
Yeah. So Norma, as I said, she's 77 years old, and when she sits in her house, she can watch the rain coming inside the house.
Wow.
So we reached out to a number of our network. We reached out to Beacon Building Supplies. We reached out to IKO Industries, and everybody stepped up. Dick's Lumber stepped up, and everybody donated the material. So my boys are going to donate the time. We're going to do it for free, and we're going to make sure that she's safe and secure in her home.
The whole roof?
Oh yeah.
The whole roof?
Everything.
Resheet and the roof?
All of it.
Wow. Robbie, the roofer from Elite. Don't forget that. Well, let's go meet Norma.
Sounds good, Pete.
We got out there, and it was an old cast iron stack. We extended that up 2 feet so that he could roof to it and then give it the proper flashing. But while we were there, we found out that her vent for her furnace was not improperly put in. So they had to flash that. But as we were working on it, we found out that the liner had ripped. So again, that snowball of renovation, we had to take her whole liner back out and redo it, which was minor in the big picture, but you still needed the stainless steel liner. So we replaced that, we were there.
We knew that she couldn't afford it, and she was so worried, and we need to help her. We needed to help her. And so he did.
Yes, that was an easy decision.
It was very easy.
I have a grandmother, I have a mother. You know, DELICE lost her mom a few years ago, and I know that Norma really reminds DELICE of her own mom. So yes. you have to help. In this time, we're going through a big crisis globally, and in this province as well, and in this city especially. You know, we all have to band together. You know, kindness is currency.
After talking to Robbie about this, I go, how, you know, I'm looking on the roof, I see canvas, I see, you know, plastic tarp. I'm going, holy jump, but you're right, she has no roof. And then he mentioned, he says she got burned by a patch job, not much previous to that, I don't think, whether it was 4 or 5 years, which is nothing in the roofing world. Roof should last you 20, 25 years. Again, she wasn't getting up on the roof to see if the guy did a good job. She was just trusting the contractor, which is a hard thing nowadays. You've got to make sure they're doing their job. I didn't expect her to run up on the roof, but she should have maybe got somebody out there to help her out with that, of course. But it's just a shame what the people did before then, what they patched over and didn't do it properly. And again, Robbie did the rescue. Elite Roofing, great job. You do get a new roof, you're getting a repair, of course, or a complete new roof, hail damage. We get lots of that in Calgary. There's a couple other things you have to make sure. Make sure that, and I've seen this firsthand, where they don't replace the roof vents. They just shingle them over. They don't spend that 30, 40 bucks for 5 or 6 of them. They save money, some of them. You need your roof vents. Roof vents help the attic breathe. You don't want to get too hot. It can be like 100 degrees plus up there quite easily, especially with the hot sun on the block roof. So it has to breathe. The whole house has to breathe, but even the attic. And you got to make sure that they put the proper flashings on for the plumbing stack. The plumbing stack comes up. If that plumbing stack is not connected and breathing, your plumbing won't breathe, which is another whole problem. You want your plumbing breathing or it'll stop working. The other thing is, and I haven't heard this too much, but they have to make sure that the ventilation is still adequately flashed around for the HVAC. The forced air furnace might be going up there. You might have a power vent hot water tank. Usually we try to go at the side wall, but they do bring them up through, we do bring them up through the roof the odd time. And again, if it's not flashed properly, you hear about it leaking. You'll see that sooner than later. I have a lot of people say, Pete, I have a leak in my furnace room. I go, where's it coming from? So I can give you a ballpark. And they say, it's right at the bottom of my chimney stack. And I go, well, that's a roofing problem.
It's tight, but doable. And I got the big cat here to show us how to do it.
Oh yeah.
We're dealing with a very old hub and spigot, cast iron, lead filled, right in the wrong spot. But Kat's got her under control right now, don't ya?
You know it.
Chimneys don't leak water. They leak carbon dioxide, but they don't leak water. So that's when I call my buddy Robbie to go on over there and he fixes them up. But we are part and parcel because I do penetrate through the roof a few times and you want to make sure that's hand in hand. And Robbie will give me a call up in the middle of the week. Pete, can you get out? I need a new stack extension here or a new B vent flashing there. So it's good to work hand in hand with great guys, of course. And that's why I refer Robbie for anything that I know that the shingles or flatworks needed.
You know what, they're a great group of guys. As soon as they heard that we had a Calgarian who was a nurse in this city for 30 some odd years, she probably delivered half of us. We had to do what was right. And that's what we have to do as Calgarians. And that's what we have to do just to make this world an easier place to live in.
We got her all tightened in. The collar was a bit of a challenge, but Big Cat got her done. How do you feel?
I'm very confident in that, Pete.
Okay, here is our normal flashing. This is the normal rubber neoprene flashing that plumbers normally use, but Elite Roofing wants to use theirs. And since Elite Roofing has got the warranty on this, I'm not going to argue. Great flashing, a little bit different than I've seen, got a great pitch to it, and I'm sure it'll work out fine. If Robbie's putting a stamp on this, I know it's great. We'll let them have at her. Well, they're all done. It took a week, rain in and out, maybe 10 days. I had to get my special hat on. She's a Rough Rider fan. Anyhow, I want to hand this right over to Robbie to introduce everybody that put their time, energy, and skills into play. Robbie, who do you got here?
Thanks, Pete. So we'll start off with Jeff from Ballpark Diamonds Lawn Care. They did a fantastic job on the yard, clipping back the trees, making sure that Norma's got a beautiful place where she can go out and have a nice cold glass of lemonade. Then we've got Neil from Beacon Building Products. Now Neil was very instrumental in getting everybody together for this when it comes to all the roofing stuff. He reached into everybody's heart and said, I need a little bit of help.
I remember him. He was a golfer, wasn't he?
He was.
We had some controversy with him.
You did.
Carry on.
All right. This is Gord from Avalanche Eaves and Soffits. He's the one that put all the beautiful brand new eaves troughing up for us so we can make sure that that water shedding is going to get away from the foundation of the building and it's going to do what it needs to do. Then we've got Sean from ICO Industries. This is the manufacturer right here. These are the guys that stepped up. It took them less than about 10 seconds, said whatever you need, just give us the bill.
Now, how many bundles of shingles would that have been?
I didn't carry any of them, Pete. I don't really know. Actually, it was about 65.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very nice of you.
And then we've got the whole family, the elite team right here. These are the hard workers that carried the bundles up and did everything they had to do. Guys, I can't thank you enough for everything you've done. You know,
Intro them. Who are they?
So this is Amber Green right here. This is my daughter Randy, right beside her. This is my beautiful, loving, caring, amazing wife DELICE.
Understanding would be a good word.
Fair.
Good. Okay.
That's fair. That's my head foreman right back there. That's Jeff Green. Then we've got my son-in-law Jordan Willard right here. This is the other owner of Calgary Elite Roofing, which is Greg Garcia. Best friend, amazing man. Incredible soccer player. Doesn't know too much about real football though, Pete. I don't know. And of course, we've got Joel Lemieux right here as well. Great workers, every single one of them.
Awesome. That is really great, guys. I love stories like this. This is so good. I'm glad we're not the only people that care about Calgary. So well done. You guys are fantastic. We're going to go in and wrestle her right now and tell her a couple things, and sure, I'll give her my hat. She'll probably spit on me. But anyhow, thanks a lot, guys. You feel good. Everybody feels good. We love Calgary, and we appreciate it. Roofer Robbie, way to go.
Thanks, Pete. So essentially, you know, before the cranes were here, we started peeling the old roof off. Then we were right after the shakes, and then we saw the damage even on the planks. There were some areas where there wasn't even any plank. You know, Dick's Lumber was huge and instrumental because without them, we wouldn't have been able to resheet it without having to you know, we would have found a way, but those guys stepped up. And so we did the full resheet on it, full-blown ice and water membrane in the eaves, in the valleys, you know, proper drip flashing. You know, for a house of this age, you can't really get in behind that stucco and replace it properly. So instead what we did was a proper counter flashing around everything, including the chimney that was leaking and causing trouble. I know Pete's taking care of the top of it. We take care of the bottom of it. Then we shingled it in, and we basically finished right when a small hailstorm hit. So, you know, by the grace of all good things, you know, she deserves a roof and she deserves to live in a home that doesn't leak.
We found a couple very interesting things while we were up there, Rob. Number one, this is very rare. Now everybody says, well, that's just old hub and spigot. It is. This is your normal hub with the LED flashing. Hugely used at the turn of the century and everything with plumbing and this and that, cast iron and all that. But this fitting up here is very rare. This fitting, they tried to make the plumbers back in the 20s and 30s used as the one that goes through the roof because it's wider, okay? And plumber said, I can use this when I don't want to spend $2 more for that.
Right.
So this is actually pretty, I'm very excited because it's plumbing. You're thinking, Pete, it's a sewer pipe, who cares? But it was kind of neat to see that. That's why we had such a hard time trying to get the flashing over this one because it was near impossible.
Yeah, well, that's why we didn't want to touch it, Pete. It was just one of those things, you know what? We could tell that this had been broken off. This had been sheared in a couple of spots here, and it was just, you know what? We'll probably do something worse. We'll get the professionals out, we'll deal with Pete.
Let the tradesman work on his trade, I believe you. Here's the flashing that we're going to be putting up there. I'm going to get Dan up there once we get the new chimney liner because the old one was cracked. This is the new flashing. We're going to and we're going to seal this down and not have a gap for the water to get in. We're going to seal the new storm cap down, and she's going to have no problem once we get the new liner on and all installed. So I'll get this up to Dan and we'll get her on.
Awesome.
We're all done. Dan, there's a little problem with this one. Tell me.
Well, it didn't go as smoothly as we'd like it to, but we took care of the problem. So basically, upon our arrival, we thought it was just a leaky chimney. Upon further inspection, we realized the 5-inch chimney liner was compromised in the middle, meaning it was expelling carbon monoxide just freely into the chimney space, which is no good. So we replaced the chimney liner, resealed it all up on top of the roof. It's got a nice new rain cap, everything's sealed up, and we're ready for a storm.
You're ready for, because we sell some pumps too. Anyhow, the carbon monoxide one is the silent killer. Every year the city tries to warn people and warn people and warn people and other contractors too. The silent killer is carbon monoxide poisoning. It's so important. Everybody has to have a working detector. Everybody thinks fire and smoke, fire and smoke. Get the carbon monoxide detector. So important. This would have been a classic case of it leaking into the chimney and it wouldn't have ended well. We're going to replace everything for it. Good work. You're happy?
Good enough.
No, great. Good to hear. Thanks, Dan. Apparently we're all done, and I especially wore my red hat just for you today because you're a Rough Rider fan. I had to be here with the red hat, of course, right? How did everything go? You saw everything. You were here every step of the way. How was it? How did it go?
It was fantabulous.
Are you happy with the ball?
A lot of eye candy around.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know how to respond to that. Okay. How was it dealing with Robbie?
Oh, let me tell you, it was a thing of beauty. You know, couldn't have been better.
The last question any contractor wants to ask is, are you happy?
I'm very happy.
That is all we care about, right, Robbie?
You betcha, Pete.
And Robert is much better. He never asked for a thing, unlike some people asking for purple popsicles. But Robbie didn't ask for anything.
I didn't want a green one. I didn't want a Rough Rider green one. Well, glad that Robbie introduced me to you and everybody else, and glad we could all make it happen.
Oh, it's wonderful. Thank you. Oh, I'll live till I'm 102.
It's okay, the roof's good till you're 120.
Well, we were sitting at the truck. I was on LinkedIn and saw Rob's ad that he had done, and so I said to Jeff, hey, look at this. Jeff didn't even hesitate. He's like, let's go do her lawn.
But what Rob did was above and beyond. He got, I believe, ICO there, the plywood guys, I forget their name, the Eve Trough people, but he got all those people there to help this senior out, and it was just, I felt honored to be a part of it, just to help his crew out, let's call it. But Rob from Elite Roofing is a solid Calgarian. He's a really great guy and went above and beyond on this one.
When he first asked me, I said, so what's the project? And he explained it to me, and I said, well, of course I'll do that. What a great thing to do, especially in times like we're going through right now, and it's a great way to give back, I think.
It began with me asking for an estimate to fix my roof. And it ended with the goodness of, well, Robert started the ball rolling, and next thing I knew, I have a new roof, I have new gutters, I have a clean yard. I met so many wonderful people.
I talked to my boss and he said, yeah, we'll give him the roof, no problem. And then that's when we decided, well, you know what, let's include ICO. ICO came on, like Rob said, within 10 seconds, they were like, whatever you need, we're good to go.
People had been kind too, because they'd helped me patch and put tarps on, but of course they kind of wilted away. And so without Robert coming and telling me, oh yeah, I asked him for a ballpark figure because I have to go to the bank and get money. And he said, oh, it's really bad. I don't know. And I said, just a ballpark. And he said, well, how does 20,000 sound? And I said, oh, but he said, I think I can help you out. And when he came back, he handed me an estimate that said 0.00, and he said, how does that sound? And I said, as unbelievable as 20,000. I mean, it was beautiful. And then he brought all these people in, and I've been blessed. Yeah.
there was no hesitation, like I said, with the Kajitsky family and for us stepping up to provide this great cause. So.
Well, I think that realistically, you know, we've always tried to pay it forward in one sense or another, and this was just something that needed to be done. You know, I've seen Calgarians in some of the worst times, the floods of 2013, where we band together and we do what's right. You know, and that's what we need to do. Family values and the way that we all come together, that's what happened here. And it happened with a whole group of different companies, different corporations that are out there, and they all jumped up and said, absolutely, we're gonna help right away. We're gonna do what's right for Norma. You know, and the reason that we, you know, we're in a position that we are is because we live in such a wonderful city. And you know, realistically, Pete jumped on board right away. I was kind of happy to see that he just brought the Stamps hat because I've seen the golfing gear, and I have to say, you know, the gear is actually better than he is on the course, but don't tell him I said that.
Oh, for sure. This is pay it forward, do whatever good you can. It's much easier, you know, to give than to receive, but in this case, it was wonderful to receive, and there are really good people in this world, and I've been blessed because I met a whole bunch of really good people. Like I say, Robert started it, and I'm just happy, and I'm going to pay it forward any way I can. It'll never be as much as what he's done for me, but I'll help somebody.
Yes, at the end of it, she came out and she tried to force us popsicles. This woman has a fetish with popsicles. Pete, have a popsicle. It was quite funny. She was a sweetheart, just a sweetheart. And she was 95% great. She likes the Rough Riders, though, the dreaded green Rough Riders. Oh, gee, she had the thing on her door, and once you're a Rough Rider fan, you're always a Rough Rider fan, and that's true blue with those Saskatchewanites, that's for sure. So I had a lot of fun with her. I wore my red stamp hat and give my little digs to her and this, that. She was a fighter. She was a feisty gal, and but she was a Rough Rider fan. Oh, and I couldn't get her off of that too. But she was a sweetheart, and she came out, thanked everybody. Popsicles, she must have shares in the popsicle factory or something like that. But it was a hot day, and the guys really ate them up. They were great.
So one of the biggest things about it is how big we know Norma's heart is. She actually sent us a card when we finished everything up, and she said because of what we did for her, what she was able to do in turn, she made a donation to the Veterans Food Bank. And I mean, that just kind of tells you the kind of person that she is. She's been in this community since '85. We had neighbors phoning, we had friends phoning. They told all of us, couldn't believe what we were gonna do. And it was like, you know what? We're the ones that are blessed to meet her.
Thank you to Robert, DELICE, Pete the Plumber, everybody at Avalanche, Leanne and Jeff at, I don't know everybody's name, but at Ballpark Diamond, Lawn Care. And so many people that I just met today, they all played a part. They've all done something, and oh, it's wonderful. And like I say, there's really good people in this world, and I'm so blessed to have met them. And thank you from the bottom of my chubby little self. I just thank you so much.
I said, I need a red one for the color of the Stampeder. She says, I got green ones. I says, I don't want a Rough Rider green one. So we had a lot of fun with that. But she was a sweetheart. She really appreciated it. And again, kudos to Robbie and all his buddies and the people he brought into it too. I was probably the smallest part of everything. Everybody else did much more material and much more work than we did. So kudos to Elite Roofing, that's for sure.